Fam. It's so good to have you back here. Okay, that actually does rhyme. Fam's fam. Anyway, I'm joking. But if it's your first time here, I'm so delighted to have you here. And if you've been here and you've just returned, you have no idea how humbling that is for me. So thank you for coming back. And for those who have come here the first time, again, like I said, my name's unfortunately Ingabire, aka F.I.R.M. R is for my name, my family of origin, and M is from my family of choice. And F.I.R.M, so you're welcome to the family. And I hope you will pick one or two things from this channel. So let's talk about the effects of life generally and life's experiences on our mental health. And in particular, I want us to focus on the effects of the pandemic and the various deaths that happened during that time on many of us. I believe, and you know, that the last couple of months we've had several publications from the different media houses saying that very many people in Uganda are mentally unwell. I believe many of us have seen the various publications in the different media houses that several Ugandans are mentally unwell. And you know that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, but especially the second last week of the month. So I thought, as a mental health enthusiast, I thought it was very important for me to share a few things that I have observed, especially given the experiences most of us have gone through post-COVID and pre-COVID. So certainly it's very possible that before COVID, these issues were still there. They are not new issues. However, after COVID, they've become more pronounced, yeah? And I think once I get an opportunity, I'll very soon invite a mental health specialist who is not just an enthusiast like me, maybe a psychologist or whatever, to come in and share a few insights on this. With G4G, where I mentor, we launched what we call G4G Rafa, the fully complete healed woman. And in May, we had our first physical session on mental health, and we were basically focusing on shame and trauma, because these are some of the things that cause depression, anxiety. Then we've had about post-traumatic stress disorder, and I am told that now there is another one called post-COVID stress disorder, something like that. So what that implies is that these mental health issues are not going anywhere. The same way we continue to experience physical unwellness, we'll continue to experience mental unwellness. But the good news is that these are very easy to deal with. And also, because mental unwellness can exhibit itself physically, it simply means that as we manage our minds and our mental wellness, we are also able to totally manage our physical health. And if you recall, last year when I shared about my New Year goals, one of them was to heal the body, because I had begun to experience and notice that beyond my experience after losing my loved ones, as my body was beginning to feel unwell. Yeah, and it's possible that probably I've been unwell for so long, but I didn't know. But for example, I mentioned in my last video on motherhood before marriage that during the time I got pregnant, I found out that I had a fibroid. And I have also learned from several people that actually these can get out of the body. So part of my efforts towards healing the body is to ensure and I'm believing God for this, for healing, that by the end of this year, when I come back here to talk to you guys, I will tell you guys, by the way, so I went for checkup and the fibroid is not there. I am believing God that it will not be there. But also what I've heard is that one of the things that makes such strange things grow in our bodies is stress. And you ask yourself, how is stress connected to such things in my body? And of course, sometimes because we are not doctors, we do not know. But again, like I said, I'm going to bring both a mental health person, a psychiatrist or counselor or psychologist to come here. But I'm also hoping that my friend, I have to mention her name so that she knows, my friend Dr. Lillian Kalisa has to come here and tell us the connection between our mental wellness and our physical wellness. She's a family physician, so I believe she's able to share some of these things because she's also started an organization called H3, Hope Health Healing, and she talks about medicine and of course things outside medicine like normal exercise, preserving your mental wellness and all that stuff. So I thought it would be very important for her to come here and share, so I'm going to invite her. But why am I talking about this now? I'm talking about this now because I have seen several trends since COVID, and these trends are being driven by mental wellness, believe it or not. I don't know how many of you have seen people walk more often, run more often. I don't know how many of you have had spouses. I hope my husband doesn't come for me for mentioning this, but I don't know how many of you out there have spouses who have started running out of it's not their usual routine, but after COVID, these days they run literally every day. If they are not running, they are walking. If they are not walking, they are, I don't know, they are onto some fitness kind of thing, yeah? And personally, I believe that some of these things are because of our experiences then. Others are climbing mountains. People are trying several things. I heard about a Joe Walker. Apparently, Joe Walker just walks from district to district. And guess what he's doing? Well, I think he's walking in his purpose because he's sensitizing people on road safety. But now we are having more Joe walkers around. Well, some of them it's for their body, others it's because it's purpose. But I believe within me, deep within me, and I'm sure the psychologist and counselor and the family physician, once they are here, the three of us together, they'll be able to tell us and confirm that some of these things are driven by our desire to, one, heal our bodies, heal our minds, and feel much better, because apparently fitness and exercise healing and stress relievers. Yeah. Now, why am I getting to this point? And before I forget, I don't know how many of you have watched a recent video by Amos Wekesa with his friends. They have a gang. I think with this gang they run together and do several fitness things together. So they were running, but it was raining, yeah? And because it was raining, I don't know how many of you are from the village and used to see that water from the roof, from the iron sheets dripping down. So these guys reached a certain point, and I think the water was, either the rain had reduced, but the water was still dripping from the iron sheets down. And these gentlemen, and I think I saw one lady, went and started playing literally under that water, as in, so the water was flowing onto them. You get it, like as if you're under a stream. But so when I saw it, something was triggered within me. I was like, but why are people doing this? Why is this happening? It's a good thing, yes, but why? And I couldn't help but go back to that place of introspect. I've shared with you guys, I over-introspect, I over-analyze, yeah? I went back to before COVID. I don't think we saw many of these things. Maybe they were happening, maybe not. But I believe that after COVID, the inner child in each one of us came out, yeah? And when this inner child came out, we seem to be in a more accommodating area where we are free to do whatever we do. We are also very enthusiastic to live life and live it to the fullest. And living life to the fullest sometimes for some people is, I don't care what you want, it's about me. I am living my life, because what if tomorrow I drop dead? And why is that? Because we saw people dying non-stop in COVID, and we were all traumatized. And like I shared again in my video on healing and why I do what I do, we saw every little family around the city being touched. If it was not your immediate family member, it was a friend. If it was not a friend, it was your relative. If it was not your relative, just know there was somebody, your neighbor. Basically everybody was affected in one or another. And those who are not affected in a very dire way and they experienced loss like many other people, went through those moments of being isolated. And what did the isolation do? Especially for people who love to eat party, it depressed them, made them anxious. So just know everybody was affected. And now the thought of it coming to an end and then going back into normal life was exciting. And in it being exciting, that inner child, you remember how you were when you were a little girl, or if you have children, how you see your children moving from point to point. Some of us have now kind of become like that. So we have moments where, yes, you are behaving like adults, but we also have moments where that inner child comes out and we just want to be children. And it's not a bad thing, it's actually a very good thing. Now, I don't know what's happening around you, but how observant are you? And if you're observing, what are you seeing around you? What needs to change around you, especially as far as mental health is concerned? What are you doing as a person? And I think we've also had stories about marriages. And well, I know for some time I'd stopped talking about marriage because sometimes I would feel like a fraud. Why would I feel like a fraud? Because, you know, the truth is that things are not exactly as perfect as they should be or as we were told they would be. And usually when you're into some sort of ministry, like let's say the Not Experience or Ndoa, there's a certain expectation people have of you, and even you, there's an expectation you have of yourself and of others. So once you begin to realize that you're not having that same, I don't know, you're not in that zone, then you begin to feel like a fraud and you're like, I will shy away. But then also, please note that when you begin to shy away from saying certain things that actually your heart beats for, it simply means that there's something trying to hold you back. So you need to be very aware and actually come up and say, you know what, devil, not today. So now talking about marriages, I have had recently, I'll be very specific, recently I was at an event and someone said that, you know, every single one of us needs a stress reliever, and sometimes the stress reliever is somebody else. And stress reliever, still, where is the stress coming from? It's a mental health thing. Yeah, why is it a mental health thing? Probably there's a problem that back in the home you're not dealing with, and because you're not dealing with it as a people, you're not communicating, you now decide that since we are not talking about it or it is not changing, I will go and find the stress reliever. Now that stress reliever might be another person you meet out there, or it might be running like the Wekesas, or it might be anything else that you choose. For example, it is probably drugs, alcohol and all that stuff. But now it goes back to that point of, but does this thing resolve the issue? Does it resolve the problem? Does it heal me? What does it do? Because it's one thing to try this thing and it works, and it's another to just run away and instead create more problems. Yes? Now, I honestly don't know how far this mental health issue is going to go and how long it's going to take for us to resolve it. But my hope and prayer is that each one of us, myself, you who is watching me right now, and your friends out there that you can speak to, you will realize, or we shall realize, that the power is in our hands. Not just in our hands, but also in our minds. Yeah. So if the power is in my hands, what am I going to do to, first of all, catalyze healing, but then also make sure that the environment we are in is safe for everyone to flourish, both mentally and physically. Because it is one thing for you to say, me, I'm on a fitness journey, I'm okay. But your mind is not there. Or you go ahead and say, me, I'm mentally okay, I'm mentally strong, I'm kawa. And then you're still in the corner somewhere in your bedroom hiding, crying, because there is still something that you have not dealt with. Yeah? And that is still, those are all coping mechanisms. So what am I trying to say? That all of us will realize that, you know, first of all, it's not a problem to go through a problem. All of us go through problems, yeah? Secondly, you will realize, or we shall realize, that you know what? This thing has happened. It has wounded me. It is going beyond. I'm beginning to feel mentally unokay. And because I'm beginning to feel that way, I need to seek help, yeah? And you'll go ahead and actually seek help. And then that also ties in with acceptance, accepting that there is something wrong that needs to be dealt with, yeah? And then most importantly, that as you choose to live fully and love others, you will also go into a place where you decide to be very intentional about it, because intention is very key. And over and above all that, that you will let nature take its course, yeah? Be natural, be yourself. Don't try too hard. Don't try too hard to fight nature, yeah? And then, most importantly, choose to grow through the season, because every little experience we go through creates a lesson, and with that lesson, we need to grow through it. I don't know how many of us have realized that sometimes even God will see us, give us experiences, and we do not grow through them, and because we have not grown through them, the same experience will happen again. You know, you have repeat cases, yeah? You have repeat cases, and because the repeat cases are coming in, you also don't know how to deal with it. Now you go back into a place of depression, and I don't know, because I mean, even God seems to have abandoned us. Now, with all this, and then also we've heard about the boy child, of course, and this whole talk of, oh, the girl is now empowered enough, or focus is on the girl, there's no focus on the boy. The question now becomes, how do we now begin to empower the boy? Because even some of the people are complaining about the boy not being empowered. Other men themselves, others are the parents to these boys. So I think as we continue to go through life, as we deal with mental health, as we deal with everything around us, we need to go back to that place of introspection of, okay, so yes, I am saying there's a problem here. What is my contribution to this problem? If this is my contribution to this problem, how do I begin to work with others to create a solution to this problem? Yeah, because it cannot be that everything is government etuyambe. I referenced something I shared a while back. All of us need to do our part in creating a healed community. We can't just keep publicizing and making publications that 1 million people, or how many people are mentally ill in Uganda. What is our contribution to that mental illness? What is it for us? Me as fortunate, what have I done to create or to contribute to the mental unwellness of people around town? The gun violence happening right now, what is my contribution? Yes, the government may have contributed, but for how long shall you and I call out the government? Maybe we are the government ourselves. We need to turn around things I don't know how, honestly. Yes, I might be or to talk, and I don't know how to do it, but I know that you and I, together, we can form a team, and we can actually change or be the change and the transformation that we want to be. Yeah, I think I've over talked. So again, thank you for being here. I really hope you have picked one or two things from what I have shared. And it's very heartfelt for me because every single day we are complaining about something, but some of these things are not changing. And it's annoying. I don't know how the leaders do it. But I also know that there is a leader within each one of us, yeah? And if that leader is there, what is that leader doing? What am I doing as fortunate? You, my darling, who is viewing right now, what are you doing and what can you do? And with that, I really pray and hope that even as you go back and introspect, that our God, who is so loving and gracious, will speak to you individually and will speak to me individually on what next we can do to make a difference, to make an impact, and be the change that we are crying for. I love you, and I wish you a beautiful month ahead.